it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets, and welcome to the last submission for the hashtag tilldeathdouscraft Halloween series. This will also be my last card for my Halloween card series of 2020. I hope that you've enjoyed this. So today we're going to be making a mini Slimline card using masking with the Create and Inkspire kit from September. So I picked 3 images, the cauldron, the broom, and the witch's hat, and we're going to stamp them down. First thing I wanted to do was line them up and see what image I wanted in the front. The image that you want in the front or in the foreground or the most of that image to be seen, you're going to stamp that image first and then mask it. So here you see I took a piece of copy paper, which just happens to be the Create and Inkspire receipt from my kits. I'm going to stamp it down and then cut it out. Now for this, we only need the right part of the hat cut out, so I'm not going to do the whole thing, and I'm not going to use glue to put it down, to hold it down. We're actually just going to use washi tape as well as the magnet. So once I'm happy that I cut with the amount of the hat that I need cut out, I'm going to take a piece of washi tape, put it on my hand, get some of that stickiness off so that it doesn't rip the paper, and place it down over the hat, making sure that it doesn't impede any of the stamped area that I need for the cauldron. I'm placing the broom in place just to make sure that I have enough room and that I'm putting these in the proper spot. And that's how the scene is pretty much going to look. I'm going to take the broom away and stamp the cauldron down. I'm stamping it in Catherine Pooler Midnight ink, and we're going to do the exact same thing that we did for the witch's hat. Ink it up, stamp it down, and once I'm happy with the stamped image, then I will stamp it onto that scrap piece of paper and cut it out for a mask. For some reason, I decided to do the entire cauldron this time, although I don't have to. I just have to make sure that the bottom and the right side are cut out, but I do the whole thing anyway. I do it off camera, so don't worry. You don't have to sit and watch me cut that out. I'm going to take that piece of washi tape, put it back over the cauldron, making sure again that it doesn't impede any of the stamping on the brush, or I'm sorry, the broom, not the brush. And we're going to do the exact same thing. Now we don't need to keep the hat masked off because it doesn't overlap. If it overlapped in any areas, then you would have to keep that masked. But this one was a pretty simple masking one. Going to ink it up with the same Catherine Pooler Midnight ink because we're going to be doing some Copic coloring for this piece. And this will be a Slimline card which will measure 6.5 by 3.5. There you go. There are the images. And now we're going to get ready to work on the background. So that paper pack is from AC Moore and it's pretty old. I got it for the girls maybe 2 or 3 Halloweens ago when we first started crafting. And I'm going to use my Rabbit Hole Cottontail blending brush with the Distress Oxide in Black Soot, and you're going to go around the edges just a little bit. Now I'm going to hold up the original piece of paper versus this one, and you will see how different it looks just by inking that little bit up. See how white the full piece looks versus that? It looks gray. The middle even looks gray, and I didn't even do anything to that. So I'm cleaning up my work surface because I'm such a messy crafter and I want to make sure I don't get any ink where I don't want it. So I'm going to line that up and then actually put that aside, and we're going to start coloring with Copic markers. Because I'm doing the cauldron black, I wanted to do the witch's hat a deep purple. So we're going to be using 3 colors to color in this witch's hat. BV29, which is the darkest, BV17, and V28. Now, I can't remember which one is the dark. I think BV17 was actually the lightest color of all 3 of them. I know that BV29 is definitely the darkest. So I went in and just mapped out the areas that were going to be the darkest, which is BV29. Went back in with the BV29 and just added a little bit of that. And then I believe I went in with V28, I think that's what that is, and just pulled that BV29 out a little bit. I'm getting a little bit better with my Copic coloring. I actually took a class, I think it was last weekend, with Courtney, and I'm trying to remember everything that she taught me when we were doing Copic coloring. So I'm practicing, Courtney. I hope that, I'm sure that my coloring isn't doing justice to your class, but I'm trying. I'm practicing. I'm getting there. So I'm just going back in with my alternating colors to color in the image, making sure that there are highlights where there need to be and the darkest images where they need to go, and trying not to color too dark areas or too light areas next to each other to make a distinction between the hat, the brim of the hat, and the top of the hat. I'm just trying to be very cognizant of that. Now I'm doing a tip-to-tip method, which is where there is too much differentiation between two colors. You can take the lighter color and actually get ink from the darker color, and it creates a third color, which will often help blend things out. So that's what I did. And now I'm taking my N8, which is a very dark gray, to add to the buckle. So we're going to color that in with N8 and N6. And then we're going to go in with, I believe it's Y18, to color in the buckle on the hat. So the belt was it's Y18 to do that. So I have all my colors written down. I just can't remember. I didn't write down what exactly I used it because I used that later on in the broom as well. So now we're going to be Copic coloring the cauldron. I'm going in with the areas, again, that would be the darkest, outlining those with the lightest color, going in with the darkest, which would be N8, kind of filling that out, creating the shadows. And then I'm going to take the colors and then start to pull them out. So from N8 to N6 to N4 to N2. So you'll see me do that. So I'm going to just talk to you a little bit about this hop as we go along, as you watch me color. Thank you guys so much for following this. I hope that you've enjoyed this hop. Thank you to Allison and to Nancy for putting this together, because this was amazing. I had so much fun. Everybody had their own day. If you are just joining us for the first time, this is all 8 of us are posting today. There was somebody that was only posting on the 1st and the 31st. The rest of us each had one day to post a project. Mine was Sundays, so my last project that wasn't the day everybody had was last Sunday. And it was, let me tell you, this was such a fun thing. I had such a good time. I hope that we do this again. Maybe a Christmas one. That would be a lot of fun. But, I do have a Christmas card series. Just a little plug over on, on my channel. So if you haven't seen that, check that out. But this was, if you hit the hashtag that's in the description on this video, you can see everybody's YouTube projects. If you go over to Instagram and type in hashtag tilldeathdouscraft, you will find everybody's submissions that's on Instagram. And then there's also a couple people who are doing blogs. I will try to remember to post in the more information section everybody's information so that you can check everyone out. However, if I do forget to do that, because sometimes I don't always do what I say I'm going to do, you can go over to the first video in this series and it has everybody's information listed. So I really will try to put that in the more information section though. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this. Let me know what your favorite part about this whole hop was in the comments. Do you like this one person per day kind of hop thing? Because it's only really watching one project, but you get a lot of great ideas over the month. I think I like that because, sometimes in hops, it's hard to watch everybody's videos, and then sometimes you forget about it. So I think this is a great hop. It was a very small hop and everybody on it did such a great job. So I'm so happy that I was asked to be part of this. Okay, so let's go back to the card for a minute, and now we are filling in the bubbles. So we're using YG13, YG23, and YG25. I went in with the 25 and did the bubbles. I did the shading, and now I'm going in with YG23 and filling it in, and then I'll go back in with YG13 and color in the rest of the bubbles. Again, this was not a large area, and there wasn't a lot of room for shading, but I do go back and I take my N8 and N6 and color in that part of the cauldron that I missed, and then I'm going to use C3 and C5 to do the handle. If I was going to go back and do this cauldron over again, because I feel like that's what I always do in my videos, if I was going to do this card again, this is what I would do, kind of like the mistakes I made. So if you're following me, don't make the same ones I make. I would probably blend, I would do the tip to tip method on the N6 to the N4 and the N4 to the N2 because I think there's a little bit too much variation between them, and I didn't get as smooth of a blend as I thought I would. Now we're going in and doing the handle of the broom, and we're using E15, E17, and E37. So I went in with the, I guess it was the E15 or E17, I can't remember. Sorry, guys. It was just on the screen. And went in and to the most shaded areas. Now I'm using the E37 to blend that out a little bit. It must have been 17 that I used. And I'm going back in with E15 and then E17 to kind of add the darker areas, and actually E15 is the lightest. So just filling in that broom handle. And now I'm doing some flicking methods, which I learned in Courtney's class, and we're going to be using some Y markers. So those are Y26, Y13, Y17, and Y18. So Y17 is kind of a yellowish orange, so I pulled that out, just kind of did the bottom of the bristles, and now we're going in with Y18 and pulling that out. And then we're going to go in with the Y13 and coloring in the rest of the bristles of the broom. And just kind of give it a little bit of color. And then the Y26 is for that cross, the part that's holding the bristles together. So that was it for the coloring. And now I'm going to glue the white piece to the base, border layer, and then we're going to glue the whole card together. So the card base is 6.5 by 3.5. That white with black stripes that we used the Distress Oxide on, that piece is 6 by 3. The black piece, the border piece here, is 2.25 by 5.25, and that white piece that we stamped on is 2 by 5. So this is a card that's traditionally smaller than a Slimline card. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. But I thought I wanted to do something because I wanted to use that 6 by 6 paper, and I didn't want to have to piece it together. So I thought a mini Slimline card that you could use a 6 by 6 paper pack on would be great for people who have 6 by 6 paper and wanted to create a Slimline card. So now we're using the sentiment stamp set from the September Create an Inkspire kit, and it says, "Have a witchin' good Halloween." And we're going to be using MFT Sweet Tooth Pigment ink, which is a white ink, to ink the sentiment up. And we're also going to be using the spider web that comes in the kit, the spider web stamp. So it's the first time I stamped it, and I'm going to be very careful with pigment ink because you don't want to press very hard when you're using a stamping tool because you don't want the letters to smush. If you push them hard, like sometimes I do, I don't know if anybody else does, I sometimes push them a little bit too hard when I have regular ink, and it distorts the letters. So now I'm going to take a stamping block and I picked the cobweb or the spider web, and I'm just going to stamp it down. And since it's pigment ink, it inks up very well, and it usually stamps pretty good. Now I want to go to the top left-hand corner, so I'm taking that same scrap piece of paper, blocking off the very top of the card so that it doesn't go onto the top of it. I'm going to use some washi tape, again, rub it off on my arm, and put it down onto the paper just to hold it into place for a second. And I'm going to, again, ink up the stamp and press it down. Again, I don't want to try to press too hard because I don't want the image to be distorted. But there you go. There are the images. Now, I use my heat tool to try to dry this because I'm impatient. I probably shouldn't have done it because it warped the card a little bit. You can see it here. I did put it under some blocks, and it was fine later on. So now I'm using 2 colors of Nuvo drops. These are the Nuvo Crystal Drops in Morning Dew and the Nuvo Crystal Drops in Sunlight Meadow. So the first one was Sunlit Meadow, and then these are the Morning Dew, which are clear, and the Sunlit Meadow has a little bit of kind of glitter in it, and it just gives a little bit of sparkle to that little bubbly potion that's coming out of the cauldron. So that's my card for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Please leave me comments and let me know what you guys thought of the project. I hope that you enjoyed this entire hop. Thank you guys so much for watching, subscribing, and commenting, and I'll see you again real soon for another video.